Hey guys, and welcome to another Gravy's Brew Review with me, Gareth Goes Gravy. And for the first video of 2015, as you saw from the title at the beginning, and as you can see from the title below, I'm bringing you a homebrew. However, unlike my recent homebrews, this one, once again, as you saw from the title at the beginning, as you can see from the title below, I'm going to be making a hard apple cider from apple juice concentrate. Just give you a quick look at that. Now I know you can't see it right now, but just at the side of me I have 4 cartons of the apple juice concentrate. I'm going to be making 4 litres worth, as it's the first time that I've made a homebrew like this. I'm only going to be brewing it on a small scale for now, and once it's fermented and I can start drinking it, I'm going to maybe make a bigger batch if I like what I've made here. Now once again, I know you can't see everything that I've got, but I've got the 4 cartons of the juice concentrate that I'm going to be using for this brew this evening. I've got one of my 1 gallon fermenters. I've also got some other little bits and bats. I've got some dextrose, just in case the sugar content isn't very high to begin with. I've also got, rather importantly, a homebrew. This is actually one of quite a few bottles left over from my Christmas brew. Cheers. Okay, so as I said, I'm going to be making 4 litres of hard apple cider, just from juice concentrate. I think I mentioned it in my last video on this channel back in 2014, last year. Excuse me. This is going to be one of a couple of experimental brews in which a lot of the ingredients you can actually buy in the supermarket. There is one that isn't, and I'll explain that in a little while. So give me a couple of seconds to set the next bit up and we'll get on with the brewing of the cider. Alright guys, we're back. As you can see, I've just moved the camera and you can now see just a few of the bits and pieces that I'm going to be brewing this cider with. As I said, I've got a 1 gallon fermentation bucket. I've got the 4 cartons of apple juice. So, there's no more beating around the bush. I'm just going to get down to it. And this is the easy bit. Seeing as I've got 2 hands, I can just do this. Make it fairly easy. That's 2. Hope this isn't too hard for you here, guys. Ooh, this apple juice smells absolutely fantastic. Here's the next 2 litres. Now, I must admit, for this, you don't really want the apple juice to be too cold. You really want it to be at room temperature, as opposed to out of the fridge. I will admit these cartons have actually been sat on the side bench here for maybe at least an hour or so. Just let them come to room, although I did actually not long since just purchased them. So let me just move these over here. Excuse me. And while I'm just behind you, I'm just going to grab a hydrometer, because what I'm going to do here, guys, is I'm just going to get a approximate, hopefully an approximate reading of this particular apple juice. Just kind of see what we might potentially get as a alcohol content. I'm looking at around about 1.044, which if I grab my other hydrometer, will potentially give us around about 7%. Ooh. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. I think I'm going to use that bit of dextrose that I've just poured out. See what we can get potentially from see what we can get potentially from having. I've got about 100 grams of dextrose there, and all I'm going to do is just take my little spoon, just going to give this a quick stir, a quick mix around, just to make sure that that dextrose is dissolved. That should hopefully do it. Let's just take my hydrometer and let's just have another look, see what we might be getting at now. Let's grab the main one. We're looking more or less at an even 1.050. So we could be looking at 8%. I think I'm going to add in another 100 grams, just for just to kind of see what we can get. I'm going to throw in another 100 grams. You have to excuse me if I take up quite a bit of the shot here. Put out. Just over 100 grams. I'll actually try and take some of that out. And so there's 100 grams. Or another 100 grams, I should say. Do that properly in a minute. Drop that in there as well. I think you can actually use just regular sugar instead of brewing sugar. I just happen to have a bag of brewing sugar lying around, so I thought I would use that instead. That should be good with that. Now let's have another look with the hydrometer. think we're looking around about 1.060, which could potentially be 10%, so I think I'm happy with that. I'm going to leave it at that, I think. Now the one thing that I do have to add additionally to this, well, I don't know if I have to, but I'm going to, is excuse me, is what is known as a yeast nutrient, which I think just kind of helps the yeast along. So I'm going to add just a flat teaspoon's worth, put that in there, and then last but by certainly no means least, the yeast. Now I know I said, and I was going to allude to this earlier, I know I said in that last video that I was going to make some brews that you could make, or where you could get the ingredients from a local shop, local supermarket. I cheated a little bit and I got this online, this yeast. But you can use regular baker's yeast from what I've heard. So if you have that in your area, give it a go. This unfortunately is a 5 gallons worth of yeast, but I'm gonna put it all in anyway. I'm not really fussed, and I'm just going to give it a nice little mix around. For brews like this, you can also use a champagne yeast, a wine yeast. Again, as I said, a baker's yeast you could also use. I just used a cider yeast because it was, because it is supposedly suitable for a cider. So again, I thought I would use this instead of taking chances on another yeast and not have it work. Okay, so I'm going to, last but by certainly no means least, just pop the lid on. Or I'm going to let it rest on top, I should say. And I'm going to let that ferment now for a few days, maybe to a week. I'll probably come back this time next week and we'll see how we've got on with the cider. Alright guys, well this went on just a tad bit longer than what I hoped. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments section if you did. And once again, in about a week, something like that, I will see how well this has fermented, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we might be in for having a nice little cider. Alright guys, well that's all I've got for you for now. So, from Gravy's Brew Review, this has been Gareth Goes Gravy, and I'll see you later. Cheers.